Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story is one of those that makes you question everything you thought you knew about love, loyalty, and consequences. My guest today is Emily, and what she's about to tell us is not just a confession, it's a full-blown emotional roller coaster. She cheated on her boyfriend with his own brother. But what happened next landed her in the hospital and changed her life forever. Buckle up, this one's wild. Let's begin.
Secrets of Alex's friends.
Hey everyone, my name's Emily. I wish I could say I'm proud to be here telling my story, but honestly, I'm not. I'm here because what I did changed everything, not just for me, but for two people who trusted me more than anyone else. It all started 3 years ago when I met Josh. I was working as a project coordinator at a marketing firm in Denver, and he was the new creative director. He was confident, charming, and always seemed to know exactly what to say. The kind of man that walks into a room and everyone turns to look. I didn't stand a chance. We started dating after a few weeks of late-night project meetings that somehow turned into deep talks about life, travel, and stupid jokes that only we found funny. Within 6 months, I'd moved into his apartment. Josh was the kind of boyfriend every woman dreams about. Supportive, ambitious, always planning for our future. Then, one evening, during a company dinner, I met his brother, Ethan. Ethan was different. Where Josh was social and easygoing, Ethan was quiet, thoughtful, the kind of person who watches rather than speaks. He had this calm, piercing presence. The type that made you feel seen. Really seen. I remember the first time our eyes met. It wasn't romantic, not at first. It was more like curiosity. But over time, that curiosity started to feel dangerous. Every time the brothers were together, I couldn't help but compare them. Josh was warmth and energy. Ethan was stillness and gravity. And the more I noticed the difference, the more I felt something inside me shift. It started innocently. Small conversations after family dinners, a few texts about helping their mom with something. But those small exchanges started carrying more weight than they should have. I told myself I was imagining it, that I just liked Ethan's quietness because I was used to Josh's intensity. Then came the night that changed everything. Josh was out of town for a client presentation in Chicago. He'd asked Ethan to drop off some tools for the garage renovation we were doing. I didn't think twice about it. Ethan was family, after all. When he showed up, it was late. I invited him in for coffee. It was raining outside, soft but steady, the kind of rain that makes the world feel smaller and quieter. We sat at the kitchen table, talking about work, life, and how complicated relationships can get. At one point, I said, "You ever feel like you're living the life someone else planned for you?" He looked at me, really looked, and said, "All the time." There was silence after that, heavy, electric silence. I don't know who leaned in first. Maybe it was me, maybe it was him. But the next thing I knew, we were kissing. When I woke up the next morning, reality hit like a truck. My heart was pounding, my hands were shaking, and I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. I remember staring at the coffee mug he'd used, still sitting in the sink, and feeling sick. I told myself it was a mistake. One moment of weakness, a line that would never be crossed again. I deleted our messages, washed his cup, and promised myself I'd bury that night forever. But guilt has a strange way of turning into obsession. Every time I saw Ethan, I could feel it. That same tension, that same secret spark that neither of us could name, but both of us felt. And even though I knew how wrong it was, I couldn't stop wondering. What if that night wasn't a mistake? What if it meant something more? That question, that single thought, was the beginning of the end. After that night with Ethan, nothing felt the same. I tried to pretend it never happened, to smile, to act normal, to be the girlfriend Josh deserved, but inside, everything was off. Every time Josh kissed me, I flinched, just a little. Every "I love you" from him made my stomach twist because I knew I was lying right back. And the worst part? Ethan and I never talked about what happened. We just avoided it. Like if we didn't say the words, maybe the guilt would fade on its own. But guilt doesn't fade. It festers. A few weeks later, Josh invited Ethan over for dinner. I remember standing in the kitchen chopping vegetables and hearing Josh laugh from the living room. That warm, genuine laugh I fell in love with. When I glanced over, Ethan was sitting across from him. Calm, composed, pretending like nothing ever happened. Our eyes met for a split second. Just one, but that was all it took. My hands started shaking, and I sliced my finger with the knife. Josh ran over to help me, worried, while Ethan just froze. The look on his face said it all. He felt it too. The secret, the tension, the guilt. That night, when Josh went to bed, I stood in the kitchen alone. I thought about confessing, about just telling him everything and dealing with the fallout. But the image of his face, the betrayal, the heartbreak, I couldn't do it. I thought keeping the secret would protect him, but really I was protecting myself. And then, it happened again. Josh was supposed to work late one night, and Ethan stopped by to return something. I don't even remember what. But the second we were alone, it was like all that restraint, all that guilt turned into something darker. Need. Addiction. We didn't plan it, we didn't talk about it, but it happened. Again. And then again. What started as a one-time mistake turned into this twisted, secret life. I hated myself every single time. I told myself, this is the last time. But I didn't mean it. It's like the more wrong it felt, the more it pulled me in. Like I was testing how far I could go before everything shattered. I started lying to Josh constantly. Fake work trips, girls' nights that weren't. I could see the confusion in his eyes. He could tell something was off, but I kept gaslighting him, making him believe he was imagining things. One day, we went to visit Josh's parents for his mom's birthday. The whole family was there. The moment Ethan walked in, my heart started racing. I avoided looking at him, but it was useless. He knew. I knew. When Josh went to grab drinks, Ethan brushed past me in the hallway and whispered, "We need to stop." His voice was low, almost angry. But there was something else in it, too. Fear. He was done. That should have been the end. That should have been my wake-up call, but it wasn't. Because by then, I wasn't just cheating. I was spiraling. The stress started showing. I lost weight. I couldn't sleep. My chest constantly felt tight. I was terrified Josh would find out. Terrified Ethan would tell him. Terrified I'd destroy everything. And then one night, it all caught up to me. Josh and I had a huge fight. He accused me of being distant, of lying, of not caring anymore. I snapped. I told him he was paranoid, that I was tired of being treated like a criminal when I hadn't done anything wrong. I remember screaming, crying, slamming the door, and running out into the cold night just to get away. My heart was pounding so fast it felt like it might explode. The last thing I remember is trying to catch my breath. And then everything went black. I woke up in a hospital bed with an IV in my arm and Josh asleep in a chair beside me. I'd passed out from anxiety and exhaustion. The doctor said my body just couldn't handle the stress anymore. And as I lay there, staring at the ceiling, one thought hit me harder than anything else. I'm not just hurting Josh anymore. I'm destroying myself. When I woke up, everything hurt. My chest, my throat, my head. The room was spinning under the harsh hospital lights, and for a few seconds I didn't remember why I was there. Then it all came rushing back. The affair, the guilt, the screaming, the darkness closing in. Josh was sitting beside my bed. His face was pale, eyes hollow like he hadn't slept in days. He didn't say a word when our eyes met. He just looked at me. And that silence was louder than any scream. When he finally spoke, his voice was almost a whisper. Was it worth it? There was no anger, just disbelief. Like he still couldn't process that his wife, the woman who used to cry watching romantic comedies with him, had betrayed him in the most unthinkable way. I opened my mouth, but the words didn't come. How do you explain something that doesn't make sense even to you? I told him I was sorry. I told him it was a mistake. I told him I didn't mean to fall for his brother, but every word sounded smaller, weaker as it left my lips. He didn't yell. He didn't throw things. He just shook his head slowly and said, "You didn't just ruin us. You ruined my family." Then he stood up and walked out. That's when I realized the real damage wasn't just between me and Josh. It was the wreckage left behind. His parents, his brother, the people who would never look at either of us the same again. A few hours later, Ethan showed up. I could barely look at him. He looked as broken as I felt, his hands trembling, eyes red. "I'm so sorry," he said. "I never meant for this to happen." I wanted to scream at him, to tell him it was his fault too, but the truth was, I was the one who said yes. I was the one who crossed that line. He left without saying anything else. A nurse came in, adjusted my IV, and for the first time since everything started, I cried. Not because I'd been caught, not because I lost them both, but because I finally understood what I'd done and what it cost. When I got out of the hospital, I didn't go home. Josh had already packed a bag with my things and left them with a note. It said, "You need help. Don't contact me until you find it." I spent the next few weeks at my sister's house, staring at the ceiling every night, replaying every decision that brought me there. Therapy became my only lifeline. I sat in that small office week after week trying to figure out why I destroyed the only man who ever loved me for real. And the truth? There wasn't one big reason. It wasn't passion. It wasn't love. It was emptiness. I felt unseen, unwanted. And I filled that hole with the worst possible thing: betrayal. Months later, I heard Josh filed for divorce. He didn't want to see me, not even once. I couldn't blame him. He deserved peace. He deserved someone who wouldn't break him just to feel alive. Ethan moved away. No one talks about him anymore. It's like we both became ghosts, erased from the family we destroyed. Sometimes I still see Josh in my dreams. He's standing in our old kitchen, making coffee, humming that stupid song he always hummed in the mornings. For a second, everything feels normal. Then he turns around, and his face fades. And I wake up with my heart racing, wishing I could take it all back. I know people want stories like this to end with redemption, that I found myself, or that somehow Josh and I healed and found closure. But that's not what happened. Real life doesn't always give you closure. Sometimes it just gives you silence. All I can say is, if you're ever tempted to cross a line you can't uncross, stop. Just stop, because one night, one secret, one moment of weakness can burn everything you've built to ashes. I'll carry that with me forever. And maybe that's the punishment I deserve.
Wow, that was intense. What do you guys think? Can someone ever come back from something like this? Would you forgive a partner who betrayed you with a family member? Or is that a line you'd never cross? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We love reading what you have to say. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new story. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.
Secrets of Alex's Friends.